So, if there was any doubt after Gettysburg that the tide had turned and favor was now to be found with the Union, the Siege of Vicksburg cements that. Like, the war is definitely going in favor of the North and not in favor of the South. Uh, so if you go back and you think about the beginning of the war, the grand plan, what is the grand long-term plan? If this war is not going to be fought and won in a very short time period, what is the long-term plan for victory? Well, the successful plan turns out to be Winfield Scott. You remember him from the Mexican-American War. Uh, his great snake, his anaconda plan, where his plan, his idea was is to surround the South with ships and armies and choke them off. Remember, the South doesn't make anything except for cash crops. They have very few factories, very little industry. They buy everything from other countries. They grow mountains of cotton, mountains of tobacco, mountains of indigo. They sell it to other countries. They make zillions of dollars of cash, and then they buy everything that they want from that. If you cut off their ability to contact the rest of the world, they will wither and die. Anaconda plan. We're going to choke them off. Now, there were some issues with this because you can't really surround Texas. Texas has a land border, and you have the Rio Grande, it's a river, but the Rio Grande is not deep enough to truly take ships and sail up long term. The Texas border with Mexico is too easy to cross, too difficult to choke off. So the original plan might have been to surround the entire South, but the more practical plan, the one that actually works, is this adjusted plan where they go up the Mississippi River, and all of the ocean part, the Gulf of Mexico, the Atlantic Ocean, is going to be patrolled very heavily by Union ships. And General Grant is going to go in the West on this Southern campaign, and he's going to take control of the Mississippi. And he solidifies that with the Siege of Vicksburg. Vicksburg was not quick either. It lasts from May 18th, 1863, all the way to July 4th, 1863. Lincoln called Vicksburg the key to the South. The Siege of Vicksburg was the final major military action in the Vicksburg campaign of the American Civil War. In a series of maneuvers, Union Major General Ulysses S. Grant and his Army of the Tennessee crossed the Mississippi River and drove the Confederate Army of the Mississippi, led by Lieutenant General John C. Pemberton, into the defensive lines surrounding the fortress city of Vicksburg, Mississippi. The city was far too strong to just simply be attacked. You were going to have to bombard it with cannons and starve them out. Vicksburg was the last major Confederate stronghold on the Mississippi River. Therefore, if you captured this city, it would complete the second part of the Northern strategy, the Anaconda Plan. When two major assaults against Confederate fortifications happened on May 19th and 22nd, they were repulsed with heavy casualties. Grant decided that attacking the city was not exactly a great idea. You should besiege it. You should surround it and choke it off. After holding out for more than 40 days, every single day, the cannons were going. People literally they would go under their houses or into the hills inside the city, and they would build underground bomb shelters and live in the dirt. And they would only come outside whenever the cannons stopped firing, which was for an hour a day. After holding out for more than 40 days with their supplies nearly gone, the garrison of Vicksburg surrendered on July 4th. July 4th, Independence Day. They surrendered on July 4th, Independence Day. The successful ending of the Vicksburg campaign significantly degraded the ability of the Confederacy to maintain its war effort because most of their supplies were being bought and shipped up through the Mississippi. If the Union has control of the Mississippi, that's their lifeline. This action, combined with the surrender of the downriver Port Hudson to Major General Nathaniel P. Banks on July 9th, yielded command of the Mississippi River to the Union forces, who would hold it for the rest of the conflict. The Confederate surrender on July 4th, 1863 is sometimes considered when combined with General Robert E. Lee's defeat at Gettysburg by Major General George Meade the previous day, like literally Gettysburg and then boom, Vicksburg. That's the turning point of the war. It cut off the Trans-Mississippi departments containing the states of Arkansas, Texas, and Louisiana. It cut off the western part of the Confederacy from the eastern part, splitting the South in half. It split them off from the rest of the Confederate states, effectively splitting the entire Confederacy into two for the rest of the war. You look at this map, you can see that how from the south you have a naval attack at the southern part at Port Hudson, and then you have from the north Grant coming down to Vicksburg. And once Port Hudson and Vicksburg are taken, those are the only two major things. Mississippi is theirs. July 4th, 1863, Grant is victorious at Vicksburg, splitting the South and cutting them off. Grant had cut off Vicksburg from any outside supplies. Conditions were so bad that many soldiers inside the Confederate army inside of Vicksburg were literally having to eat rats just to stay alive. The siege lasted 48 days, and since they surrendered on 4th of July, the 4th of July, there were no celebrations celebrating the 4th of July for 81 years in Vicksburg. The tide is completely shifted. There's no shadow of a doubt the South is losing this war. The North is winning. And Vicksburg, Gettysburg, and Sherman's Southern campaign are the key victories, and they helped get Lincoln reelected in 1864. We've talked about Gettysburg. We've talked about Vicksburg. The only one we have left is Sherman's Southern campaign. There's a lot of other battles, but those are the three really major different campaigns that solidify Lincoln's leadership and solidify the course of the war towards a Northern victory. So I hope you're learning, and I hope that you're having fun.